Hold on tight, folks. Straight from Red Deer County, it's the Guillaume Clou Sans Tete experience. Your rugged, sharp, trusty headless nail is here to hammer home the truth.
Salut, mes amis, and howdy from the porch swing out here in Red Deer County, Alberta, on this crisp September 23rd, 2025. The sun's dipping low like a cowboy tipping his hat after a long day in the saddle, casting golden shadows over the fields where the last of the harvest is coming in. There's a chill in the air, whispering of winter on the way, but I've got my trusty mug steaming with a homemade brew. Roasted them Alberta broad beans fresh from the garden, mixed with a bit of dandelion root for that earthy kick. No caffeine to jitter up your nerves like them fancy Ottawa imports. Pull up a stump or a hay bale, folks, and let's settle in for another episode of Prairie Pulse, where we chew the fat on what's really grinding gears across these prairies. Today we're diving into a fireside chat that's got me fired up hotter than a branding iron. Values or value? We're talking Mark Carney, this so-called Bill C5, and Andrew Scheer's spot-on warnings. This ain't just some dusty headline from the Hill. It's about the dirt under our boots, the sweat on our brows building our livelihoods, and the freedoms we're fighting to pass down to the young'uns. Now, Andrew Scheer dropped that video not long back, calling out Carney like a sheriff facing down a snake oil salesman. He draws a line from Canada straight to spots like Russia and Venezuela, where dictators play favorites, approving projects only if you grease the right palms or kiss the right rings. It's a picture that makes you straighten up in your saddle, mes amis. But if you stop there, you're missing the real trail. Canada ain't Russia, not yet anyhow. Our brand of rot don't come in cash-stuffed saddlebags. It rides in on tailored suits, slick policy scrolls, and highfalutin words like values. Let's start with Carney's gospel of values. Mark Carney ain't hiding his preaching. He penned a whole book on it. He values building a better world for all. In them pages, he argues that free markets left to their own devices don't know up from down. When it comes to right and wrong, they'll chase the almighty dollar even if it scorches the earth or widens the gap between the haves and have-nots. So he reckons markets need anchors, moral ones like climate duty, social fairness, and long-haul sustainability. On the surface, that sounds sweeter than fresh honey from the hive. Who don't want a fairer, cleaner world? But here's where the boots sink deep into the mud, folks. When Carney jawbones about values, he ain't talking the kind we grew up on out here. Not the solid grip of an honest handshake, the backbone grit of a dawn-to-dusk workday, or the plain duty to pull your neighbor's truck out of the ditch when the rains turn the roads to slop. Nah, his values are them fancy technocrat labels. Net zero goals, ESG tallies, carbon ledgers, stuff that lives in boardroom spreadsheets and global gabfests, not in the rich soil of an Alberta wheat field or the oil patch. And here's the real kicker, scratching my head like a burr under the saddle. Them values ain't just his Sunday sermon. They're tied right to his own wallet. That leads us to Carney's money trail. After he hung up his spurs at the Bank of England, Carney saddled up with Brookfield Asset Management, one of the biggest outfits in infrastructure and renewables. Brookfield don't mince words. They're pouring cash into wind farms, solar spreads, hydro dams, carbon traps, the exact same pastures Carney's been herding folks toward at the UN, them climate powwows, and now right here in our backyard. So you could try to ask yourself, mes amis, when Carney hollers about steering trillions toward green pastures, is that pure heartfelt conviction? or the echo of a man standing on the rail line flagging trains to a depot where he's already staked his claim and built his barn. Out here on the ranch, we'd call that a fox garden, the henhouse, a clear conflict bigger than a prairie sky. You don't let the fella running the livestock auction fiddle with the scales, too. But in Ottawa, they slap a badge on it and call it leadership. Makes you wonder who's really riding shotgun. Now enter Bill C-5, the Ottawa Gate. This here law's rewiring how projects get the go-ahead in this country, like changing the rules mid-rodeo. In the old days, any outfit with enough gumption and greenbacks could slog through the regulatory bog, meet the marks, and if they held tough, ride out with a permit in hand. It was a rough trail, slow as molasses in January, costly as a bad bet, but at least every rider started from the same chute. Bill C-5, it tears up that playbook. It hands the cabinet, them federal bigwigs, the reins to declare certain projects in the national interest. Slap that golden brand on 'em and poof, chunks of red tape vanish like smoke in the wind. Environmental checks, legal hurdles, even some indigenous talks, they can get sidestepped or streamlined faster than a jackrabbit dodging a hawk. Sounds like a dream for pipelines or highways, don't it? But hold your horses. Who picks which broncs get the easy ride? Ottawa. And whose gospel guides Ottawa right now? Well, Mark Carney's, plain as the nose on your face. This ain't a fair referee hollering same rules for all. Nah, it's the ref pointing at one steed in the lineup and saying you ditch them concrete shoes while the rest of you keep hauling them heavy packs. Trudeau's energy record. Let's not kid ourselves. We've seen this rodeo before, and it ended with us eating dust. Remember Energy East? Tossed aside like yesterday's feed. Northern Gateway? Vetoed quicker than a bad check. Tech Frontier? They sunk over $1 billion in planning just to walk away empty-handed. And who stood on that Quebec pier elbow to elbow with Germany's Chancellor Scholz, claiming there was no business case for our clean LNG, even as Europe was begging to shake loose from Russian gas? Justin Trudeau, Carney's old trail partner, an eager ear for his whispers. All the while, the Americans were inkling hundreds of billions in LNG pacts. Japan, Germany, Poland. They queued up at Uncle Sam's gate while Canada, sitting on the world's cleanest natural gas like a hidden gold mine, just shrugged and shut the door. You tell me, folks, was that about sound business, or was it them values calling the shots? 'Cause Carney's crowed it time and again. Fossil fuels are stranded steers, relics of yesteryear. He eyes 'em as the past, not our future. And long as his grip's on the gate latch, any project sniffing of oil or gas is dead before it draws breath, no matter the jobs it'd pump into Alberta or Saskatchewan hearts. Selective enforcement, prairie style. Scheer dubs this selective enforcement, painting pictures of shady deals, bribes, and stuffed envelopes. But I'd reckon it's worse, mes amis, 'cause this ain't grubby corruption, it's polished, spit-shined rot. It's etched right into the law, bold as brass. We'll cherry-pick the winners. We'll fast-track what we fancy. The rest can choke on paperwork till the cows come home. And what breeds will they favor? Not the ones keeping Grand Prairie families fed and working, not the rigs filling royalty pots that build our hospitals, schools, and roads. Nah, the golden calves will be green energy spreads, net zero rail lines, carbon swaps, precisely the pastures where Carney's already sunk his stakes. That's why I holler, this ain't pure ideology, it's a tidy alignment like stars lining up for a shooting star. Carney's worldview and his bankroll point due north together. Whether by true belief or handy convenience, the outcome's the same. He cashes in while we cash out. Technocracy versus democracy. Let's call a spade a spade. Carney ain't no dictator. He's a technocrat through and through. He reckons experts like him ought to steer the herd, 'cause us plain folks, you and me scratching out a living, can't be trusted to pick the right paths. He's owned up to it. Folks brand him elitist or globalist, and he just nods, says that's precisely what the doctor ordered. But in a real democracy, that mindset's more dangerous than a rattlesnake in your boot. When unelected wizards start scribbling market rules, when values become the sieve sort in which dreams live or die, the free market turns into a corralled beast. It's fenced, guided by fellas who've already bought the spread on the far side. So where's that leave us rugged souls in Alberta, Saskatchewan, the north, even them rural BC backroads? We've tasted it before. Idle rigs rustin' like forgotten plows, plants boarded up tighter than a winter barn. Young blood heading east or south for greener pastures. Communities shrinking while Ottawa toasts its climate badges. They label it values, we call it our daily bread, and they dub it building back better. We see it as getting left in the dust. And now, with Bill C-5, Carney's creed ain't just hot air, it's law. The very gate every future venture must squeeze through. Scheer's dead right to sound the klaxon, but let's lasso the bluster and get to the bone. This ain't about bribes or mirror in Russia. It's whether we're willing to lasso our tomorrows to one man's vista, one man's values. Especially when them values pad the same ledgers he's roped to. Do we hanker for a tomorrow where free markets call the tune? Where outfits duke it out, folks innovate like wildfire, and the stoutest projects rise like cream? Or a setup where a technocrat with a tome and a treasure chest gets to decree, you pass, you flop, you fit, you don't. Out here on the endless prairies, we know better than to let the auctioneer double as the bidder. We know not to trust the cowpoke weighing the herd when his own steers are in the mix. That ain't justice, that ain't liberty, that's a rigged game. Straight up. So, as you poke the embers tonight, mull this over. Carney claims he's anchoring markets and values. But the true ponder is, are them values ours, or just his alone? 'Cause if the only trails cleared through Ottawa's thicket lead to Carney's richer pockets, then the line tween values and plain old value blurs to nothing, and us Canadians will foot the bill once more for some elite's dreamscape. And I don't know about you, but out here we've swallowed enough of Ottawa dictating our best interests. Time to rein 'em in. What do you reckon, mes amis? Is Carney's values game a wolf in sheep's clothing, or can Alberta's grit turn the tide? Hit the replies. A, dang right, it's elite favoritism. B, we need Premier Smith to bulldog this federally. C, share your own prairie wisdom. Spread this Prairie Pulse like wildfire. Link Scheer's video, holler at your MPs, and let's rally for markets as free as our winds. That's the beat from the heartland today. Keep your boots dusty, your heart true, and your fight fierce. Until next time, this is Clou Sans Tete signing off. Hashtag Prairie Pulse, hashtag Alberta Strong, hashtag Canada First, hashtag Values or Value.